Hello and welcome back to the Productive Dragons channel where we do unboxes, plan with me's, and other things. And today is another thing. Today I will be reviewing what I read in the month of March. Want to see what I read? Come join me. Alright, for those of you who don't know, this is my reading bullet journal. I decided I did pretty well in the month of March. I read 12 books. And I read every day. I also participated in the role of readathon, which was interesting. I read 11 fictions and 1 nonfiction. So far, the total of days I've read so far is 90 days, not including the month of April. For the role of readathon, I based it on Mel's thing, which I will link up here. I think it was the review on February where I mentioned it. The roles were roll 20, which was nostalgic vibe / freebie. Roll 11 was feature a magical or mythical creature on or in the book or on the cover. Roll 19 was a beautiful cover, and roll 4 was a main character over the age of 30. Okay, no problem. So I will tell you when each one of those popped up, and we will start. I did a lot of audiobooks this month, which is not too bad. Alright, so we'll start off here with this one, which is We Sold Our Souls. I started it in February and finished it in March. It was a Grady Hendrix. I got it from the library. It was an audiobook, and it was a horror. I enjoyed the book. I gave it a 4 stars. It was told by Chris Polsky. And it was interesting. I loved the supernatural of it. I enjoyed the book. It was very interesting, very what I kind of like. I know it wasn't as horror gets, but it was good. I enjoyed it. I loved the different supernatural parts of it and just enjoyed it all together. The next one, which was my only nonfiction, and I used as the nostalgic vibe or freebie, was The Storyteller, Tales of Life and Music by David Grohl. I got this one from the library. It was also an audiobook, and it was read by the author himself, Dave Grohl. Absolutely loved this book. I gave it a 5 stars. Enjoyed everything about it. It was awesome to see what his life was like. He didn't sugarcoat stuff saying, oh, this is but being a musician. He actually told the hard stories that he had to go through, the different things. And it was really interesting how things, way he told them, and you hear the love of the music. And to me, that could have been a freebie or the nostalgia vibes, because I love music, and to hear his road of what he went through and every story. He even gives an extra story in I don't know if it's in the written version, the physical, but in the audio there was a bonus, which was great. He gave the true knit and grit of the history of his life as a musician and what it means to be a musician. I really loved it. I don't know if he's going to come out with another book, but if he does, I'm definitely grabbing it. Next, one of my physical books, which I've actually kept up with my goal, which is to read a book that I get from the book of the month, which is, they had 7 choices, and I chose Lucy Foster's The Paris Apartment, which I used as the buzzword for this month, because month of March, which were locations. So you got Paris and apartment. So there you go, 2 locations. So yeah, I used this. I gave this a 4 stars. It was a mystery. I absolutely enjoyed the book. It does have a lot of points of views. You reading every different points of views of different people. I try not to give too many spoilers on this, but this is I really did enjoy it. I am curious about her other books, because this is the first time I've ever read Lucy Foley, and it was really good. And I really enjoyed the mystery, the tosses, the different turns, and the interesting points of view. So this was interesting, even with all the different characters. I really did enjoy it. So I don't know how many people feel about having more than two. This was more than, like, last month I did the Golden Couple, which was just 2 points of views. This one had very many points of views, to the point you had at least 4 points of views going on in this. No, five. I'm sorry, I almost missed one. 5 points of views in this. So yeah, this was quite an interesting book. In my opinion, I really enjoyed it. I would like to try some more from this woman. The next book I read, which I got from the library, and it was a physical, which I'll be posting here, and that is House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. I enjoyed that book. I gave it a 4 stars. This was my first book in fantasy, real fantasy, and I used it as the beautiful cover in the rollathon. That was it was the first, supposedly this is the first book by the author as an adult fantasy. She does a lot of young adult fantasy, but this was her first, and I found it to be a really great book. I enjoy it. I can't wait to, I was like, oh, I can't wait to read the next book that came out in February. And I thought, okay, but I got this from the library, tried it out, and enjoyed it. Just absolutely enjoyed all the characters that I got to meet. It was very interesting from beginning to end. I enjoyed it tremendously. I was like, okay, and it looks like there might be 4 books in this series, because when I opened up the physical book, there was 4 things, and the first one being House of Blood, and as you will find out, uh, you'll know the name of the second book because I'll be talking about it later on. But I did enjoy all the characters, and so yeah, I got it from the library, not knowing if I was going to enjoy it, and it was a chunky book, so I was amazed that I got through it as quickly as I did. The next book I went through, which was another library book, and I also did this as a uh, readathon, which was featuring a magical or mystical creature on the cover, which was the natural history of dragons, a memoir by Lady Trent. This was by Marie Brennan. It was an audiobook, and it is a historical fantasy, which I have to say, I really enjoyed it. It was a 4 stars. I love the person who read it. Kate Reading is the one who did the book, the audio. And honestly, for someone like myself who cannot stand historical, when I say historical, I'm looking at 1700s, 1800s, where, lords and, ladies and things like. I don't do that very well. But this book, I had seen it, and I said, I'm going to give it a shot, because I wanted, I'm a big fan of dragons. Haha. And so she just gave life to this woman, and I can't wait to continue the series. There's maybe 6 books in the series, and I'm going to try to listen to them because they were so great. Even though it's historical that I don't care for, I'm still willing to listen to it because Kate did a wonderful job reading this book and giving. You could feel the characters and the love of the character, the main character, and I was happy. And I think I will try for the rest of the series. That was considering I'm not big on that, I actually enjoyed it. So, all in all, I can't wait for the next series to come out. I'll probably try to grab that. Going on to another series, I did another one, which was the Every Heart's a Doorway by Shauna McGuire. This is part of the Wayward Children series. I decided I would try it out because I heard people talking about Where the Drowned Girls Go. And I thought, okay, let's start with the beginning. It's a mystery fantasy. It was audio. I gave it 3 stars because at first it started off really slow, in my opinion. It didn't pick up until chapter 4. And I was a little like, and at first I was sitting there going, I don't know if I really want to, I was like not really impressed by the first book. But I sat there and I said, you know what, I'll give it a chance. I'm going to give this series a chance. And unfortunately I went down the rabbit hole because the next book I listened to was Down Among the Sticks and Bones, also by Shauna McGuire. And it's the second book in the Wayward Children series. I loved that one. That was 4 stars. I enjoyed this one much better. You learned about two of the characters from the first book, which I absolutely, you got their history, which was something that you didn't get in the first book. And that's fine. And I just love the character development of explaining different things and showing different things. And it was like, whoa, I really started to enjoy it. This one actually was read by the author. Um, it was very good from beginning. I was enjoying it, and I was like, I'm glad I decided to continue the series because I really didn't think I would. Uh, so you'll find that I did. But that one I really enjoyed. Then the next one I read was House of Sky and Breath, the second book in Crescent Cities, and that's by Sarah J. Maas. I picked it up from the library. It's a physical, and it was fantasy. I enjoyed the second book as well. That one I chose as the character that is older than 30. The main character is older than 30. You have a fallen angel. He's definitely older than 30. So it looks like there's supposed to be 2 more books according to the first book. And, but it's going to be interesting. I'm kind of wondering how this book is going to come, how she's going to pull in the second and the third book, because the ending of the second book was really interesting, and I'm curious how she is going to work that, because you have dealing with characters from the House and Blood series, or excuse me, is it Earth and Blood? Sorry, Earth and Blood. When you come in and you're like, so how is she going to pull this into the third book? I'm curious to see if she can continue, and I will continue to love it. I gave this one 4 stars. So that was quite an interesting book, and it was thicker than somebody at the library told me, oh, my friend said it was thicker paper, and I'm going, the first book was like 700 and some odd pages. This is 800 and some odd pages. No. So yeah, that one became really interesting. Next one I read was an audiobook from the library, was Beneath the Sugar Sky by Shauna McGuire. Now that one was good too. I gave it 4 stars. It was read by Michelle Dockery, and it was quite an interesting third book, because that one had a character from the first book supposedly having a child, but that was a little hard. But you'd have to read the first book to understand what I'm saying, because it was very interesting. You had a couple of the people from, this book has been carrying different people over, and it's great, and I was really enjoying it. I enjoyed how this one read. She did a great job narrating the book, Michelle Dockery. It kept me interested. I gave it a 4 stars. It was quite a ride to see how this has been going. And so I'm like, okay, I can't wait for the next book. Well, the next book I read was Comfort Me with Apples by Catherine M. Valente. I could be wrong how to pronunciation. That was from the library. It was a fantasy thriller, and it was an audiobook. I gave it 3 stars. It was the weirdest book I'd ever heard, to be honest. It was read by Karis Campbell. I did not mind the reading. I mean, she did everything possible. But at first, I'm sitting there going, is this Stepford Wives, or what's the deal? And by the end of it, I realized it was based on Adam. And I'm like, okay, this is so weird. But yet, I was like, I give it a 3, because it wasn't until the end when I realized, and I'm just like, this is just the weirdest story I've ever heard. I'm glad I didn't read it, because I probably would have put it down. So with the audiobook, it helped, but it was just like, I'm just sitting there just shaking my head going, this is so weird, until the end, and I realized what it is, and I'm just like, this is just too weird. And to be honest, I'm glad I got it from the library, because I would have been so pissed to have it in my possession. That one would have been one of the books that goes, bye-bye. Next book, what I also got from the library, was a physical book, and it was a YA science fiction, which was Scythe, and that's by Neil Sherman. I could be mispronouncing the man's last name. I enjoyed that story. It's a three. It's this book is 3 books series. Scythe is dealing with 2 people that you meet. You're dealing with a place that no one dies, so they have to have Scythe to manage the population. It was the interesting book in this trilogy. It starts it off, and you have 2 main characters, and it was just you had a character. I had a character I absolutely hated. You were like, when that character, gets their comeuppance, you were so happy. It was just so many things. You just sit there and you're just shaking your head, like, oh my gosh. And this was just interesting from the word get go, from the start to the finish. I absolutely enjoyed the book. I gave it a 4 stars. It was very interesting. I was I enjoyed it so much that I read it in 2 days. Technically, it was a day. If you think about it, 24 hours. I read it in a day, and it was that good. I really enjoyed it. It kept me going, and I was enjoying every minute to the point I was complaining to my friend, I really hate this character. And was so happy when they got their comeuppance. So I was thrilled, but I really did enjoy it. So that was fun. And then the last book I read was In an Absent Dream. That was number 4 in the Wayward Children by Sean McGuire. It was also a library audio and fiction, of course, fantasy. You learn about one of the characters from the first book and how they ended up being the way they were. Like I said, I don't try to give much away. It's just an interesting way. But that was definitely it was definitely interesting and all. And I love the history that they gave, the backstory of the person. And then you realize why they were where they were in the first book. So those are all the books that I've read for the month of March. So that's done. I will show you that for the buzzword of the month, I'm actually going to read this book, which is The Bad Little Falls by Paul Dorian. I think that's the correct pronunciation of his last name. If it's not, I'm very sorry. I got it from the library. I figured, this is supposed to be big, little, or any size in the title. So that's what I'm going to do. This is actually a 3rd book in the series. If I enjoy this, I'll probably try to grab the first 2 books and then go from there. But this is a new author for me, so I'm hoping that I absolutely will like this. So this is the only thing that I have when it comes to actual TBRs that I'm doing. The rest of it, I'm not doing anything else. I'm just having fun with the books. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please put them down below. Until next time, I'm hoping everybody is having a wonderful day.